This is the Sitdown, a series of intimate conversations giving insight into the latest and greatest in gaming. I'm Steve Hannley, and we'll be talking with Adam Beck tonight about Disgaea or Disgaea or whatever you want to call it. It's Disgaea 5. So Beck, let's just get started. What differs this game from its predecessors?
Well, Disgaea 5, I mean, it's the first generational, or not, I guess second generational leap from one console to another. Started off on the PS2, went to PS3, and finally on the PlayStation 4. Yeah, a lot has changed. It's probably one of the most iterated games in the series. I mean, for one, I mean, it's not big when you think about it, but it makes a huge difference when you actually play. In the past games, Disgaea is a grid-based strategy game. You take characters, you put them on the field, and you move them around, attack enemies. It's very traditional. It's very anime inspired. It comes from Japan, Nippon Ichi, who we love, right? And
right,
like, thank you for that response. And but before, when you put someone on the field, you couldn't move them freely. Like, you put them down, they stay there, or you can just take them back. You can't move around the radius he was given. Now you can move around whatever radius you want, and you can go whatever you want. Like, say, one of the big problems before was you have character 1, he moves somewhere else, character 2 moves to his character 1's old location, they perform an action, maybe attack someone, and then in the past character 1 would be stuck because he can't go back, and he has already moved he already used his one move. And now that's fixed with Disgaea 5, in that he can move as freely as he wants around his own radius, and it sounds so small. It sounds like something that you should have had, but finally Nippon Ichi has integrated into Disgaea 5, and it makes just a big difference. Other than that, I mean, the leveling classes in Disgaea games has never been great. It's always been, you level a character up, he or she will progress to a new class level. So say you have a warrior and she advances to a Valkyrie, but they won't turn into that. You unlock it, so you have to reincarnate the character, or you can just recreate them. But now, as they level up, they'll keep unlocking the levels and then keep progressing to the next class. So there'll be no mindless grinding for new classes.
Which kind of seems different for Disgaea, a game where mindless grinding is kind of that's kind of the game, right?
I mean, it's still there, mind you. I mean, there's still, like, the item world is there, and you can just keep going down into items, keep grinding away, which the item world in itself is, I feel, is far easier now, because you have I've had multiple times where I'm just like level 100, I'm facing level 300 guys, I'm kicking their butts. And that should not be the case, because in the story, or in the Nether Research Squad, where you go face overlords, which is new, I'll get to in a second, those enemies are difficult. Even at like 20% higher, or even the same level you're fighting, it's a challenge. But item world is the easiest way to grind, or one of the easiest ways to grind, and it's very easy. So it's a little disappointing in that sense, but the game has a lot of content to get through. So,
I mean, for those that do want to spend, God knows how many hours, 500, 1,000 hours, whatever it is people spend in this game, can they still do that? And can they still do it with the same enjoyment as past iterations?
Oh yeah, I mean, Disgaea 5 comes with a lot of new additions and enhancements. Like the Nether Research Squad is a new enhancement in that you can send out characters you're not using to explore the Netherworld, which is the Netherworld is this infinite supply of worlds, and with demons and overlords you can research, and sometimes when you send them out, they'll fight the enemies for you automatically, and it'll generate it for whatever reason. Sometimes they'll win, sometimes they'll fail, and they'll bring back loot for you, and they'll level up.
Sounds like Peace Walker a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, like, or Assassin's Creed or something like that. But it's but sometimes they mess up and they accidentally destroy the world, which is never great because at the end you can fight the Overlord. It'll give you like a really great weapon or item. So
sure.
It's the Chara world, which is a character world. You can hop into each character, which they integrated as I think it was like a GeoPanel design last time. I can't remember. It's been a long time, but now it's a board game where you roll a die and you move around a big giant board with enemies on it and even your dark self and whatnot. You increase the character's attributes and maybe learn new skills. There's a lot of content here that even in the main campaign, the post game, there's just so much.
So with the game on the PS4, I mean, of course, there's going to be visual and audio upgrades that I'm sure we'll get to later. But is the game itself bigger? I mean, because the PS4, of course, has a bigger capacity for content than.
I mean, it's not bigger in the sense that the content is still large and the file size, if you're referring to that, is still really small. I think it was like 7 gigs. So
oh wow, that's a nice change of pace.
I mean, yeah, my PS4 is getting overloaded with games, so yeah.
Well, just do what Sony does and recommends and buy a 1 terabyte PS4 back.
Not buying another one, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's still a really large game, and yeah.
So I mean, is it because what always drew me to Disgaea, especially the first one, which I did put an ungodly amount of hours in that I won't mention. What's its humor? Its humor. It was just so funny, and I would say the majority of Disgaea games, of course, everyone has their favorite, but they've all been they've all had this kind of same, I don't know, maybe low key kind of humor that kind of persists throughout the game. Is this game also like that, or is it take itself more seriously?
It's a little of both. I think it's the story is a little more serious than before because it's about a bunch of mischievous overlords who come together with a common goal. They in some way need to seek vengeance for their past or something, like Red Magnus, who has some history. I guess it's secret, so I won't spoil it, but everyone has this goal to defeat this overlord named Void Dark, and he's just this overpowerful just tyrannical overlord who just destroys netherworlds on a whim, wants to be the strongest, kills everyone in his path. And the story is a little dark in that sense that it deals with a lot of like death and I mean, it's an anime, so no one really dies, but it has stronger themes than the last couple of games. And but the main character, Kelia, is not my favorite, only because past games the protagonist has been this wisecracking or like really kind of annoying protagonist. Just keeps running his mouth. Kelia, the protagonist in Disgaea 5, is this very stoic, monotone, like no emotions type guy, which is really different from past games. And I kind of like it, but I kind of don't, because he doesn't really express himself. So there's a lot of times where he just doesn't come off well. Whereas the rest of his supporting cast is really strong. Maybe not as strong as past games. Disgaea 4, I really enjoyed their cast, but they have really quirky personalities. Like Red Magnus continues to refer to himself in third person. He's like a big wrestling guy, calling everyone jabronis and
so he's Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or something.
Pretty much. I mean,
okay. I think we can all like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's decently paced. It resolves a lot of characters' stories, although it kind of peters off in the end. Kind of speeds up right at the end, where even the final boss and the final boss, or not final boss, but the fight against Void Dark is kind of rushed too, and even after that, the conclusion just feels rushed towards.
Is there a female character in the game that really kind of sparked your interest, or?
I mean, there's a couple of female characters. The Seraphina is kind of that wearing barely any clothing, or at least her chest is popping out. And there's like Rosalia, who's this little girl who's riding a Prinny, and think she's a rabbit of some sort. I mean, it has a very wide cast of characters, even a demonic, like, sadistic little girl named Margarita who just kind of plays with everyone as if they're toys type deal. I mean, there's a lot of interesting characters.
So, I mean, of course, one of the biggest aspects of this game, or biggest features, is the fact that it is the series debut on the PlayStation 4. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's a game that could have been done on the PlayStation 3?
I mean, yes and... Yeah, I mean, it's a sprite-based game. It's still a sprite-based game. The environments aren't, like, mind-blowing, because they are technically in 3D in the environments, but it's not like it's a huge step over the PlayStation 3. Like, the geopanels are... actually individually tiled. I mean, tiled in the sense that there is one tile for them, a design on the tile, instead of just this plain, transparent, colored piece of the map. And I mean, what's weird is some of the designs and character art for the classes are redone, but some aren't for whatever reason. Like the professor and the martial artist. And there's a couple others, especially the monsters. They all retain their same visuals, and while the others have been reworked for whatever reason. I don't even know why. But yeah, the game looks good. It looks sharp.
Is it 60 frames per second?
I think the series has always been. It's hard to tell because it is sprite based, so it's
right.
It's a matter of not how many frames they actually draw into it, because I guess it's not really sprite based, it's just art based, because it's I don't know what the term is anymore, because it's physical drawings. It's basically an anime brought to gameplay. So
how do you feel the localization is, the voice acting and the translation?
The voice acting is good. The translation, they repeat a lot of lines. I mean, they pound into your head that Kelia can destroy Void Dark if he goes into a certain mode, and he just repeats the same line over and over again.
Now, hurry up and unleash me. You actually do know, right? That I can kill Void Dark in an instant? Now, hurry up and unleash me. You actually do know, right? That I can kill Void Dark in an instant? Now, unleash me. So hurry up and unleash me. Yes, unleash me. Hurry up and unleash me. Yes, unleash me. Unleash your true power.
It's a little annoying in that sense, but I mean, overall, the localization's been good. The voice acting is good. Like I said, everyone has their quirks, and the voice actors and actresses bring that to them very well. Yeah, the localization just fine. I have no problem with it.
And would you say it's deeper than the past ones? It seems like they do keep adding gameplay elements game by game.
Yeah, in terms of gameplay, absolutely. I mean, they even added a revenge mode, which is basically build up a bar that you can, when it tops off, you can use an overload status, and that basically for specific characters, it's pretty much just the main cast, where they can just use these special abilities. Like Zero can split into 5 characters pretty much, and that does an incredible amount of damage, almost overly if he's equipped to a specific squad. And they're all very interesting. Some are useful, some aren't really. And then there's like character cross combinations, where if you have unique characters next to one another, they have the ability to use a unique skill, which is usually really comical, really what brings the characters to life in that sense. Because the story, while kind of comical, it's not as I didn't find it as funny as last couple games. So there's a lot been added though. So.
And I heard there's even a House of the Dead reference sandwich in there.
Yeah, one of the I don't know if it was past games, but I swear I've never seen it before. Is one of the moves from the zombie class has a move that's one of my favorite, because he basically attacks the enemy but puts them into a first-person shooter, House of the Dead. Not really a minigame because it's automated, but it's a scene where it's basically just replicating that, where the zombies are coming at him and he's picking them off, but he gets overrun eventually and he gets torn apart. But they're very creative in doing those special moves.
Well, so what's your overall recommendation of the game? Is it something that people should pick up?
I really enjoy it. Even if you're a fan of the series or new to the series, I greatly recommend it. It's, like I said, it's not as funny, but it's still comical. It's very anime influenced. You have to be kind of prepared for that. Where, like I said, no one really dies, and like, yeah, it has a lot to it. Like, if this is the first time coming into it, there's a lot of content packed into this.
Yeah, the game will be released on October 6th in North America and 3 days later in Europe. And I believe there's a special edition that is currently still in stock, but you better go and run and pick that up. But you can check out Beck's review of the game this Tuesday at 10 p.m. 12 p.m. when the embargo lifts.
That's September 22nd.
September 22nd. We look forward to that.
Awesome.
I want curry, 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 I want curry!